linked up back with another podcast. We have a very interesting character, I would say, personality, I would say, mogul in here today. Emma Norts.
Hey guys.
She's a full TikTok star, makeup artist. You're a businesswoman. You do a lot.
Damn, this is one hell of an intro. I feel so lucky. Thank you. I appreciate it.
And it's an honor to have you on the podcast.
I'm so happy to be here.
How are you?
I'm a little frazzled after this week, not gonna lie. I feel like it's been a long week, but
because you're a workaholic.
Yeah, I think that you and I have talked about this.
This is what we both relate on.
Yeah, I remember like one of the first times we actually like had sort of a sit down conversation.
Yeah.
At some probably whack LA party where we were both like hiding from everyone. Yeah. Where we were both talking about
it was the LA fashion show.
Was it that?
Yeah, it was that. That was the first time I met you, I think.
Yeah.
Or we actually had a conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're from where? Where are you from?
So I'm originally I lived in Boston a little bit when I was growing up.
Oh,
and then I also
East Coast.
Yeah. And then I also lived in Denver, Colorado for a lot of my life too. So it was kind of half and half.
So you have like 10 million on TikTok.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
And from Colorado, that's like crazy, right?
Yeah, I think that's so insane. I don't have the ability to process that. Yeah. Nor will I ever, and I hope I don't.
So growing up, let's go through that stage because coming from a small town, I mean, you started in Boston and then went to Colorado. I mean, tell me a little bit about how you even started this whole makeup thing, and how do people like look at you back home?
I think that it's like A to Z, sort of. It really started as makeup being such a huge source of therapy for me. I think that it was my time to sit down and be peaceful and where my mind would finally quiet. And so I think that over time, like, I realized that more and more through, I did so much theater growing up. I danced my entire life. I'd always painted. I'd always been so involved with the arts. And so that was where I found my peace in a lot of turmoil growing up.
Was there like a grade that you started to get into makeup?
Oh, God. Honestly, I really didn't start doing makeup religiously or like, doing it for more than just Halloween. Yeah. Maybe like... 3 years ago.
3 years ago?
Not that long ago.
What?
Not that long ago. Yeah, which is funny.
Your makeup skills are incredible.
Thank you.
Like,
I appreciate
insane.
It. Oh, thank you. I mean, I think that when you're passionate about something, suddenly
you just go all in.
Everything else blurs, and I put my whole heart into it. I think that, another thing we can relate on is that I just wholeheartedly have always believed that if you're going to do something, give it your all. Which I did. And 100%. I think that it was I literally would like sneak upstairs when my parents were sleeping to like do my art form. Because it just wasn't something that I ever had the space or the time to be able to do it. So I'd wake up in the middle of the night and like be filming. And my parents, funny enough, didn't even know that I had social media or TikTok until I had like 500,000 followers on TikTok. What was
their reaction when they found out you had followers on social media?
Oh, it was a sit down chat. It was not a good conversation. Oh my gosh, wildly against it.
Really?
Wildly against it. I don't think they understood it.
So growing up with parents like that, how was it like growing up wanting to be different?
Hard. I don't think that anyone with that same narrative has, they're like, oh yeah, everyone was so accepting and it was great and it was so easy. Like, It was not. It was very lonely in some portions of my life, I think. But I think at a really young age, I realized the value of, being in a room full of people who don't make you feel like you can be your authentic self isn't worth being in the room at all.
Even if they're family.
Yeah. And I think that it kind of took some time for my family to accept that I had really different ambitions than maybe what they had pre-established for me, which is totally okay. And I think that they now couldn't possibly be more supportive, which is so dope.
Oh yeah. I mean, my mom is the most supportive person. I mean, she's the reason why I'm awesome. Doing what I'm doing is because you always need that one person to support you, and it mostly comes from either your parents or the person that really raised you and that brought you up, because their opinions matter the most. And
whether
it's
you
also,
like to admit it or not, it's so
100%.
true.
And it's sad. Sometimes they don't support it. And they, at first my parents didn't support this whole social media career.
Yeah, it's tough. It's hard.
Yeah.
It creates a lot of battles.
So any struggles like growing up as a kid?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think from a pretty early age, actually, probably when I was in like 5th or 6th grade, I was already experiencing like really intense depression. And really, yeah. And just because of some like really traumatic family events that had happened. And I'd lost my uncle to suicide at a really young age too. And I think that he was such a prominent figure in my life, and just had lost really important figures in my life, or had experienced loss very early on. So I think that having that experience at an early age kind of created a space where I was already kind of creating a relationship with therapy and all of that, and having my mom's support, or like my family support in general with that, I think helped me so much in us later understanding each other better in our ambitions and my ambitions.
Yeah. And like I was a kid living in Maine when I was 9 or 10 years old.
Oh, you're from Maine?
No, I'm not. I'm from Massachusetts.
Oh, okay.
But
I was going to say, we talked about this.
Yeah, I lived in Maine for a bit, and I had
I have family in Maine.
Yeah, I had a great it's a kind of hard topic.
Yeah,
because,
I mean, hey, I already said a couple hard things too, so write it.
Suicide is no joke.
No,
and addiction is no joke either, because I had a grandfather, and I like vividly remember this. And I was living in Maine, and it was like one night I walked down, and my dad was at work, and I walked down and I see my uncle like laying on the table with pills just everywhere, and his head just on the table.
And that stays with you forever.
And I will never forget that. And I didn't understand it because I was a little kid, and I just was like,
nor should you.
I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
So I just looked at it, and I was like, and it was like confused.
Yeah.
And I would always like think to myself, why is like the ambulance and the fire department always coming to the house and like bringing them to the hospital?
Yeah, when you're a kid, you just don't realize these things. You don't connect the dots. Like, I had told myself when I was a kid with my uncle that everything that happened to him, I was like, he definitely had a heart attack. I just decided that, and because you're a kid, you don't know. Like, my parents weren't going to be explaining that to me at that time, what had happened. But it stays with you. And I think that, especially both of us being in Los Angeles too, like, the amount of exposure that you get to such a vast array of people's problems with addiction or mental health, or, whatever it is that they're trying to battle or cover up, it's a reminder that we all are facing something, or have a loved one who has,
I mean, yeah, exactly. The happiest people in the world are sometimes the most depressed.
Yeah,
and
that's very true.
And I was saying this to my people, because I live stream all the time. So I was even like, people on social media, what they show on social media is not most of the time, it's not true.
Oh my gosh, it's all preconceived.
It's all an act. And you
manufactured.
Having what you've built on social media, people look at you as this person that has creative. You're unique. You're really unique.
You're too good to me. I
you
appreciate
are really
it.
unique. Because I haven't met another person just like with your style, like your fashion. Because you're like an icon with fashion.
Whoa!
Like, look at you.
All these words being thrown around. Goddamn!
So,
I feel so hyped up. Thank you. I have so much respect for you. So that means a lot.
I appreciate it. And so like it's very important for everyone to realize, like, nowadays you don't know if anyone is depressed, you don't know if anyone deals with anxiety, and so it's very important to understand that it's okay not to be okay, and to seek for help and actually talk about how you feel, because when you're vulnerable you can relate to people.
And I think that the sooner that you face your demons, the sooner you're able to make friends with them and greet them and find a way in the middle.
Exactly.
It's funny that you should bring up live streams too, is because like that is such an intimate time to really truly connect with your followers, where it isn't like, a video that I've edited for 2 hours, or, something that I already wrote a script for. That's a raw moment where you can actually just be together. And kind of going off of that topic of mental health, at the end of every live stream, I always say the same thing every time, which is, whether it be morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are in the world, I hope you take a beat for yourself. I hope you take 5 minutes to just appreciate something by yourself. You know, compliment a stranger, could make their day, could make yours. Check in on the homies, tell them you love them, and you know, good morning, good afternoon, good night.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's so important. It's pivotal, because I know I'm checking in on my friends that are the strong friends all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, the ones that always, you know, take a bullet for people emotionally.
It's emotionally exhausting. I'm that friend all the time.
Yeah.
I'm always like the strong friend trying to take care of people. Yeah. So when you have the people checking in on everyone who seems okay, it's really important.
Yeah, because when you're more of a leader, you have a strong mental capacity, and you're used to just taking a hit from everybody, and always 100%. Just, okay, let's just keep going. Let's just keep going. And then one day it's like, okay, enough is enough. I got to actually realize, you know, what's going on between me and myself, and, you know, what am I facing? And because you can't fill other people's cup if your cup is empty.
Again, like, these are all such repetitive things that are told, but until you are ready to realize that yourself, they don't hold any meaning. And it's so important to repeat that, because, again, it's like that saying of, like, you can take a horse to water, but that doesn't mean it's going to drink it. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't try.
Yeah,
you know?
100%.
Like, I definitely think that kind of going off of how everyone is calculating this kind of already formulated version of themselves on social media, which, you know, I do sometimes too. Like, it's part of our jobs
it's a brand,
to be a character, or to, you know, have that host-like experience on your social media and come off a certain way. However, I think that often leads people to forget who they are too, or forget what's important.
Oh, that right there is it's so important to realize, because when social media is not real.
No,
this is not real. And a lot of influencers, myself, like, sometimes I am like so addicted to this whole facade that I am on social media that I forget to be like, hold on, let me like turn around. This is the real world. This is not real. And my emotions are so attached to everything, the comments, what people have to say, and they become so real that I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's also like having a really strong relationship. I've worked so hard the past year to have a stronger relationship with who I really am throughout the entirety of my social media, because I think that if you're, like you're saying, like, if you get so used to worrying about like this character that you create, that you suddenly become so diverted from who you actually are on social media that you're afraid to show any piece of yourself.
Yep.
But social media, as much as it's fake, it's also an opportunity to show so much of your authentic self. Because I think that the creators that I appreciate the most are the ones that are the most unapologetically themselves. They're authentic, they're real, they show their flaws, they're humans. And that sounds so stupid to say that, like, oh my gosh, they're humans, because aren't we all?
Yeah.
But the lack of humanity in so much of social media is wild. Like the comments where people are like, you know, cussing people out or body shaming or whatever. Like, that's such a lack of humanity. And
I think there's got to be a work-life balance between all of this, because if you're not really focused on, you know, yourself, and you're just focused on work 24/7, and because it could be fun, you know, your work, you know, what I do, what you do, it's a privilege. It's our passion. It's a privilege. And, you know, I'm blessed to do what I do. You're blessed, you know? So it's like, we forget sometimes, whoa, hold on. Let me just not focus on all of this right here.
Yeah.
Let me focus on my friends, because there'll be sometimes where I'm like, whoa, I haven't hung out with somebody in a long time.
Yeah, I think that just like how we treat each other on social media is also so funny to hide behind a screen, because you can hide behind a screen for yourself and making kind of a character out of yourself.
I mean, but like, let's go into real life. I mean, relationships, friendships.
Yeah.
I mean, those are, it's so toxic, especially when you're living in LA. It's, you know, you don't know if someone is out to really get you or if they really want to be your fucking friend.
This
is LA. It's competition. Everyone wants what you want. And so
it's unfortunate.
You're a really closed off person. I'm a really closed off person.
Yeah.
I don't just like bring anyone just into my circle. So
it's not a bad thing. That's commendable. It's really, really important, I think, to be protective of your peace
and your energy.
Yeah.
Because if you give anyone your energy, then they're just energy suckers in the world, and you
Energy
get drained,
vampires.
and they drain you, and they keep draining you. And so I mean, with relationships, I mean, have you had toxic relationships?
Oh, I mean, I'm only human. Yes, unfortunately. I think that everyone has, but they've been such important learning experiences lessons for me. Like I've learned so much from those experiences. And you know, I saw this clip recently, and it was some big media network speaking to the fact that, you know, anyone that's treating you poorly or, you know, is projecting one of their insecurities onto you, it's not because they're a happy person. Like those aren't happy people who are wanting to see a person fail at their, you know, at their own success rate.
Do you believe that you can make someone happy?
Yeah.
An unhappy person happy?
To a certain degree. But I think that, you know, I am very self-aware at this point in my life of the fact that I'm a fixer, and I like to take a little broken doll and I like to fix it because I think that I can.
But do you think sometimes that's like draining though?
Oh, not sometimes.
Because
always.
that could be.
It is not a good idea at
especially,
all.
Especially like, you know, someone like yourself. If you're so established, and someone that is not established, they come into your life.
Yeah.
And it's
I've
like, whoa, it's a whole broken toy.
Yeah, but it's also it's sad a little bit to a certain degree, because I think that I have had a lot of faith in people, and, you know, I like to see the best in people.
Yeah.
And I also never want that to change based off of a bad taste that someone has left in my mouth. Genuinely, I always want to have that quality. But I think that having that balanced out with protection mechanisms of how to keep your peace.
Explain some protection mechanisms.
You know, I think that being really selective about your friends is not elitist. I think it's really important.
So what do you look for in, if someone wants to be, you know, a friend, or, I mean, you could go even, you know, further with a relationship. I mean, you know, shit. Like, what do you look for?
Well, I mean, to start, I've been single for a long time.
How long?
Well, I mean, do you count a situationship? That's always the question. Not really.
I'm not going to count
maybe,
it. No,
yeah.
no.
So,
depending on how long it is.
It was a long time.
Like how long?
It was like 9 months, 8 months.
That's not a long time.
Okay,
no, that's not a long. 9 months is not a long time.
In Los Angeles, it's a long time.
Okay. All right.
Maybe, whatever. But you're right. I've been single for a long time. Probably like a couple years then, if we don't include that.
2?
Like 3, I'd say.
Okay.
Maybe longer. No, 3. Probably 3, which is not that long.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's not necessarily because I don't look for that. I just think that it's not. I think that if it's right, you'll know.
Yeah.
And that's the same with friendships. Like I think that I take a lot of time. I don't like to rush into things. As much as I know that I love very hard, it's because of that I'm so careful about easing into that.
So did you have a relationship that didn't go well, and then you learned, and now you've been single for so long, or is it because you're focused on something else?
You know, I just don't think I'm ever looking for a relationship. Like, I'm on dating apps and things like that, but like they're like my temple run. Like, I'm not actually like entertaining it. Like, it's so bad to say that, but I like meeting people in person because I like to see their real energy. But I think that my last relationship, I still wish them absolutely nothing but love and light. And I did learn a lot of things, and I'm sure they did too.
Yeah.
I don't think it's because of that I kind of stay in my own lane. I think that I just
did you love
chase. I think so.
You think so?
I think so.
Do you believe in love?
Yeah.
Actual love?
Yeah, I do. I have been in love before, for sure. I think that one of my first relationships really taught me what it is for someone to be protective and loving and selfless in a relationship, which I had never experienced in so many dynamics of my life of someone being protective of me. I was like, what? Like, what are you doing? This is so strange. But it's important to be reminded to the possibility that, you know, there is someone else that could treat you entirely differently. And that was a really beautiful reminder of that. I think that I allowed a lot of things in other relationships that maybe were not okay, but it was a learning experience.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I find also that so many people, especially when they're young, are spending so much of their time trying to find someone.
To be in a relationship. Yeah.
Like, I have friends, I think, that maybe spend hours on dating apps.
Wow.
Which, you know what? Go off.
I mean, go off.
Get it. You know what?
You know what I mean? So
I'm so happy for them. That's amazing. That's just not where I find fulfillment. I think that one of the best pieces of advice that I got about dating was 10s find 10s.
Tens
so
finds tens.
if you're looking for the right person, then you should be looking for the right qualities in yourself first.
So are you more attracted to the physical, or I would say you're more, I think personality, but I mean,
I mean that
physical has
sounds
to be
so
there.
silly,
Yeah.
just because like I'm a personality girl, like, but it genuinely is true. Like if we were to pull up pictures maybe of some stuff, all my exes look completely different.
Really?
Yes, they all look totally different.
So you don't have a type?
No, I don't. Not really. I mean, like if there's one thing that I'm initially attracted to, I feel like it's what people think I'm attracted to, which is like a lot of tattoos and whatever, like dark and misunderstood and you know, that kind of vibe. But I feel like I always am the first to just fall in love with the person's laughter and their passion, and how they treat other people is so important. So like that's so attractive, how people treat others. Like I know so many people have said this as an ick, but like say treating someone poorly in like a service industry role or something like that, or you watch how people move with their family and their friends, and it you can tell what a person's character is, you know?
So
it's cool if they're hot. Like it's nice if they have like, you know, whatever quality I'm looking for, but like, am I going to go to bed at night and be like thinking about their six pack or whatever? Like, no, I'm not. I'm just not going to be thinking about that. I'm going to think about the way that they made me feel.
Exactly. Everyone's focused on in LA what you do, where you're from, how much money you're making. Like, it's not, I don't give a fuck about that shit.
I've literally seen people like turn heads when someone says like the amount of followers that they have, or like what they do, or they see like, oh, like what's your Instagram?
Yeah.
And then they look at someone's follower account or like whatever it is, or they see mine, and then they treat me completely differently.
It's fucked.
Or they treat my friend that's with me
it's so messed up.
Differently.
It's so
and
messed
I'm like,
up.
how dare you? Like,
or
to take someone's character based off their followers or who they are or how much money. I'm like, that sucks.
Or it could be who you know.
Yeah, that too.
Your resources. I mean, you could have
very much. This is why I like staying in my house.
Yeah.
That's why I don't like going to these. And when I do,
you don't go anywhere.
No, I don't.
You don't go anywhere.
Yeah, every time I go out for like more than an hour, everyone's like, what? I never see you. Like,
when you first came out here, did you go out a lot?
I think that everyone does a little bit when they first get here.
Oh, I was going out like crazy.
Yeah. So I don't think I went like haywire. Like I have a lot of friends where like when you first come to LA, I think it's really important to realize that this town feels entirely fabricated. Like it's like the most amount of wealth at these parties, the most, you know, attractive people, the most alcohol, the most drugs. Like it just seems like it's crazy. I mean, you could come fantasy world, you know? 100%. And I think that it's easy to look at that with rose-colored glass. And you're excited. Like it was great at first, and then I realized how little it all meant.
Yeah, it meant nothing.
It meant literally
meant nothing. All these mansions.
I realized very quickly.
Yeah, but like as someone that comes from a small town, you know, I'm from a small town.
Oh, it's the coolest thing ever.
Going on a yacht, going in a mansion.
Yes.
Being around an influencer or celebrity. Holy shit.
That's crazy.
Like we're having a great time. Let me
100%.
drink and have a great time that night.
Yeah.
And then you realize like the depths of what happens behind the scenes of LA.
Yeah, I think that's the easiest way to lose sight of what you're actually there for, or what you're ambitious about, or your morals.
What's your purpose?
What's your purpose? What's my purpose?
Yeah, what's your purpose?
Oof. You also lose sight of that
because
when you're doing that.
You do, but
what's my purpose? You know, I think that it's evolving always.
It's evolving. I like that. I like that.
In every part of who I am and what I do, I think that you should never stop growing. I think that is a crime to say like, oh, you know, I've reached this pinnacle and it's okay now, or whatever. I think that no matter what, I always want to strive to be a better human, be a better businesswoman, be a better daughter, be a better friend, you know, eventually someone's wife, whatever it is. I want to show up 100% me too in that.
Do you believe in fail constantly?
Yeah, I do. I absolutely do.
See,
I think that you got to learn from that. But now, do I like failing? No, I'm a stubborn motherfucker.
Yeah,
like, I hate that. But again, those failures have taught me more than any success has.
So you speak to a lot of people that I say that same thing. I said, I want to fail all the time.
Yeah.
I want to fail all the time.
Because it's not fun. But looking that in the eye is really important. You start to get a lot more brave about the choices that you make, I think.
Oh, yeah. And you get more confident of who you are.
Yeah.
Because if you fail constantly, you're evolving constantly. If there's no failure and you're always succeeding and it's always just, a high ride up, I mean, your ego and, is just going to be fucking through the roof.
Yeah, I've seen that. That's unfortunate when that happens.
Yeah. And when you're an influencer, I mean, it could be your videos like, 1 million here, 2 million here, 3 million. You just keep rising. I
mean, there's literally a chemical that is released in your brain, dopamine and serotonin. Every time you get that notification of X amount of numbers, that's going to give
toxic.
You that. Yeah, I mean, it's literally chemically based in your brain. So it's something that you have to genuinely genetically rewire yourself to not be so rewarded by just a number. Because the reality is that it's always up and down.
Yep.
Like everything in life. That's kind of a comforting thing, though, is that I feel like everything is temporary. I know that isn't
everything
comforting.
is temporary.
Yes, I think that, at least.
Everything is temporary.
Everything
so does
is
that
temporary.
mean
it's
that
a feeling, and I think that, darkness, the good, the bad, you're going to have success, you're going to fail, you're going to, fuck up, you're gonna do better next time. Like it's I saw this quote the other day, and it was it sounds so Pinterest and stupid, but it was talking about a heart rate monitor.
Okay.
And how, if there isn't the ups and the downs, then you're gonna flatline. And then there's no meaning to life without those ups and downs.
Wow.
Which
it's kind of powerful.
Yeah, I thought so too. And I again, it's like what you were saying. I think it makes you more confident, but it's not fun.
It isn't
fun. No
one
ever said it was fun, but it's important.
What's your hardest downfall?
Ooh, that I've had?
Yeah.
Like my darkest point?
And you've actually realized that, whoa.
Yeah.
I'm a fucking boss. I got out of that shit.
There's a couple, I think. I was experiencing something in my life where I got to a point in my own mental health where I had realized that I could not do it on my own anymore. And I think that this was a couple of years ago, and I needed more help. And so I went to a facility for a while, and I went to rehab, and that was definitely the darkest point in my life.
How was your experience with rehab?
Oh my God, awful. I needed rehab after the rehab. It was terrible. It was so bad. In fact, one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to grow a platform and to be able to, I'm really passionate about acting and being involved in that as well. And I write and all of those things as well. But, there's a lot of projects that I've been working on steadily as I've been working on growing my numbers, because I want to be able to have a voice to someday have my own rehab facility, or, change the rehab systems, or, especially for youth. The amount of dehumanizing experiences that I've had with therapy or with rehab, that still to this day are hard for me sometimes. And I have so many people that I'm close to who have had very similar experiences, or wilderness, or where they've been taken against their will to go somewhere else. I have friends who have literally been kidnapped from their home and have been sent away for like a year or something like that. So and they're still scarred from that. I think that bringing the humanity back to rehab is really important. So I think that taking myself from that lowest point where I didn't know where to turn, and I didn't know who I was, I didn't know what I wanted, I didn't know who was in my corner. I think that my epiphany was that, you only have yourself at the end of the day. And that's not a bad thing. That's actually a really powerful thing. I think that having faith in yourself is the most powerful thing that you can do. And I didn't have anything, but I did have hope.
You did have hope.
I did have hope. And I think that forever has stuck with me through the highs and the lows, is that, that faith and that ability to get back up again. And if there's anything that you should try to create in your life, it's being resilient.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's the key word.
It is.
Resilience.
Like, resiliency is one hell of a drug.
If you guys don't know what that means, it means basically when you go through hardship and you're able to bounce back instantly and have no reaction towards it, and be like, no, I take control of my emotions.
100%.
I take control of my destiny, and I'm going to continue.
Yeah. I mean, there's literally the amount of things that you can control in this life is so little. But you can always control how you respond, how you react.
And this is something that I've been working on.
Yeah.
And
I'm always working on that.
It's
hard.
I'm working on that, because that is one of the hardest things to actually take control of your emotions, because even like I said, back on social media, it comes very toxic.
Yeah.
Your emotions are attached. You care about everything, and you just get tied up in all of that. And being able to, and being like, okay, you need to stop, like get away. Like sometimes I go,
detach yourself from it.
Yeah, like sometimes I go out to the beach and I like just sit there and I look at the waves and I'm just like thinking of, okay, how can I better myself? Because I don't want to have other people's opinions define who I am.
Yeah, that is so important. I think that that should be taught in every school ever, just from the perspective of social media at this point in life.
Yeah.
Like, I really commend you for that, because I think that finding meaning beyond the screen, it sounds so silly, but it's very important.
No, yeah.
Like having a meaningful life beyond what you put on your Instagram story or whatever it is that you're putting out to other people to make an opinion of is needed.
Yeah.
Like I think that, kind of going off of what you were saying earlier about how my style is kind of unique, and you're
freaking unique.
Thank you. I come from a very suburban, normal town, and everyone wears Patagonia, and that's it.
Yeah.
And like Keens, and I was there like in my like patent leather whole, pantsuit,
Totally
whatever.
different.
Totally different.
Totally
and
different.
Very, very willing to just show up 100%
So
me.
did you get any like backlash like doing all this, like like harassment? Like especially on social media. I mean, when I started in my hometown, I was getting harassed because I was doing something different, and not many people were doing. I had like a small group. We weren't, and everybody. Once I started social media, that's when I lost all my friends.
Same.
I was literally in high. I was in high school. I was in high school, and I would sit at lunch. Like I used to sit with everybody, and then once I started social media and I started to like actually gain followers, I was just not like. I would literally just not want to go to lunch because I didn't like nobody was fucking with me.
No, same. Yeah. High school, I started doing social media when I was in high school as well. And it's terrible. Like
it is.
I feel so much envy for anyone who wasn't in like high school or any form of education system when they were doing social media, because man, oh man, like having that brutally just be in your face.
It's tough. And
it's
then,
one thing if it's comments, it's another if it's a teenage girl yelling at you.
Exactly. It's tough because you have doubts, and then you're like, oh man, like why am I doing all this? And this is important. This is let's go into the topic of like, change and make a difference in the world, because whatever your purpose is, like, we were talking about, and whatever you're trying to actually accomplish, mine is to impact as many people as possible and actually change people's lives, not just, here's $500. I want to actually impact the entire world with my knowledge and what I have to say and what I do, because you're more action than, talk.
Yeah.
And this is what you learn, especially when you live in LA. You want to speak less and do more, because everybody is doing the same thing and they just take your shit like that.
Yeah.
So
move in silence.
And that's that's a new quote that I live by now is work in silence and let your success make the noise.
Yeah. It is really important. I always think that saying less is more.
Oh yeah, because if you're the one always talking, trying to prove yourself, you really don't have anything to prove. Those are the people that don't have anything, and they are just trying to prove what?
Yeah, I also think that some of the most insecure people are the quickest to project that and speak that and be the noisiest about that. It's important to just have a really strong relationship with yourself too. I think that silence creates it makes it much easier to create a conversation with yourself.
Yeah.
Because I think that only, when you take yourself away from the noise of it all, and I know that you were saying this too, of like, maybe I haven't hung out with friends in a while, or I've just been focusing on my stuff, but
it could be hard.
That, of course, balance, which you and I can probably
I'm horrible at it. So bad.
Same. But having that time to just sit there and be with yourself, especially in this industry where it's constantly like, let's go do this, let's go do that, let's be here. Having time to actually realize what your values are and what's valuable is important.
And you won't ever realize that, because if you're going 24/7, because you don't have time to catch up with yourself, and you're just on the go all the time. And a big problem for me is I was putting my emotions under the rug 24/7, because in business, in the entrepreneur world, and if you want to stay focused, you just have to eliminate your emotions. And I know that sounds fucking horrible.
It's true though.
But this is what you see Elon Musk, you see all these goddamn successful people. They put their emotions second, their career first, and it's crazy.
How do
to
you
think
that you best get back in touch with your emotions when you have to mute them? Because I agree with you. I think that sometimes in business, or I find in a lot of my endeavors too, putting your emotions to the side is sometimes what's needed.
Well, for
me,
how
do you get back into that though?
Well, for me, I had to realize what was in front of me.
Yeah.
When you start to lose focus on just the vision, the goal, you start to look back and you're like, hold on, I pushed this away, I pushed this away, I pushed this away. I'm not paying attention to this, and I'm just like,
what's important?
I'm just literally just focused on just getting this goal.
It's easy to become a robot.
I'm a robot. Like, and then one day, once you realize it, your emotions become attached to you again, and you realize and you become aware, and then bam, you have a whole breakdown.
Yeah, been there, done that.
I've had so many breakdowns. There was one time where it was like, I don't know, it was like a year. I was just like, go. Oh, I'm not going out to any party. I'm not going out to any event. Like, I don't care about all this goddamn stuff. I'm gonna work because that's irrelevant and that's a waste of my time. That's what I said.
Yeah,
that's what I said.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's and then I realized, like, whoa, hold on. No one's calling me anymore. No one's texting me anymore.
That's an important conversation to have with yourself. I watched this TED Talk the other day. I listen to TED Talks all the time while I do my makeup. Because I think that there's so many lessons on there that are so valuable. I feel like people should listen to them more.
My goal is to be on a TED Talk.
Funny you should say that.
That's my goal.
Same.
Like, I want to be on
I have one like in the works right now because that's what I'm trying to do.
What?
Yeah, 100%. But it's something thank you. I've been very passionate about that for a long time. So I'll see you there.
Wow. I will.
That's so funny that we're both trying to do that. But I remember watching those being really young and finding those just on my YouTube. And I've still just been so obsessed with them because I've always loved psychology. But there was one that I watched recently that was talking about why fun is the most important factor in success too.
Really?
So it's that balance too of like, without having that time to, even if you're making work fun or finding the play in your work,
it's still
finding the play in your relationships, that without that, or, having that robotic mindset of go, because I've been right there too.
Yeah.
Just because I think that we're both very overly ambitious, which is commendable. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
But I think that you lose track of like why you're doing anything at all. If you don't, we all just want connection in this world. And so, when you have that moment where you're like, nobody's calling me, or like, this doesn't feel connected to the people around me too, that you can't find success without, it takes a village.
Yeah.
It takes a village.
And another thing is you lose your personality.
Yeah, you do. That's wild.
Your personality is gone.
Yeah.
It's completely gone.
It's kind of scary.
And then you look back and you're like looking back at other videos and you're like, damn, what the hell? I was like I was so like outgoing and like so talkative. And now I'm just like locked in. Go.
Locked and loaded. We love it.
I don't.
Yeah, it's weird.
It was so, and thank God I realized that, because that's just horrible.
I'm sure people can go through and have gone through their whole lives probably doing something that they hate, and because they're putting their emotions to the side, and then they wake up 50 years later and then they have no idea. So the fact that you get that at such a young age is really commendable.
Yeah.
And helpful. But I think that it's instructive to the rest of your life.
Oh yeah. And so going on to entrepreneurship, because, you're a businesswoman.
I try to be, yes.
You are. Come on, let's get that right.
I appreciate it. Thank you. I think that not enough people view that are actually doing social media as their profession or as a factor in their profession, don't view themselves as a business, because I literally am Emma Norton's like LLC. Like in corporations. So I am a business, and I think that creating a brand and creating that tenacity to be a businesswoman in everything that you're doing, or a businessman, like without that, I don't think that you get the respect that you need to succeed in this business. Because it is a business.
It is. And and if people look at, Logan Paul, they look at all these, David Dobrik, that's a business.
Yeah.
That's
Oh my God, is that a business?
Mogul.
Yes.
They're
and
not
they have
just
businesses now too.
Yeah.
So many people, take that as an opportunity to then create something of their own too, which is, I think, a beautiful thing to do.
So with branding, like, what would you give for somebody that's trying, they have social media, they have a following, and they want to create something more. They want to do a brand. They want to
rebrand or just kind of create their own brand?
They want to brand themselves, what they're doing, and create something outside. And I think it's very hard for people to realize, like, posting on TikTok is not gonna, it's not gonna be there forever.
No.
Like, when you're 80 years old, like, let's be real, the money you made on TikTok is not gonna be here.
I don't think so. That would be wild.
It would be wild. That would be wild. It's not wealth. Like, you got to create generational wealth.
Absolutely.
And that's my goal, is to create wealth for my future generation.
Yeah. I think that kind of going off of generational wealth too, and branding, I don't think that they have to coexist. I think that if you're creating a brand, first and foremost, I think it's really important to find your one thing that you can be really good at. Like, there are people that make cooking videos, and that's like the one thing that stands out the most. There can be a multitude of things that are part of their branding, but I think that having that one thing that you're really driven towards and passionate about, or one thing that intertwines the things that you're doing, like for example, who's someone that I could say, like QCP. He's a big on social media, and he does the pasta videos, and he can be recognized for that, and that doesn't mean he can't make other videos as well, but I think that having that one niche is so important.
And it's for example,
like, I do makeup. That's one thing. Yeah. That's one part of my branding.
And if you wanted to, you could create a makeup studio, and people would be like, "Oh, I trust her."
That makes sense.
That makes total sense.
That's also that's funny you should say that. I was going to say trust, because having trust in that creator's opinion and having that actually be of value and not be like, "Oh, like, this Sephora product, X, Y, and Z, because obviously I got paid to say this."
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Which, okay, that is also important parts of our job, is sponsorships. Like, that's a thing. And it would be foolish to say it isn't. But having that trust and feeling like they're a friend, I think, is so important too. Like, for me, the creators that I think that everyone else respects or appreciates or is drawn to the most, or have the most longevity, which is really what I think that people don't appreciate enough in social media, is not just, oh, what's gonna get me 1 million views right now, or what's gonna make this really quick and work, but what's actually gonna make you stay in the game, what 5 years later will keep you working. I think that part of that is making people feel like you're your friend. And being relatable. Absolutely. Now, that doesn't mean that every creator needs to have that. I think that there are some creators that are incredibly alluring because of their mystery factor. Like, I think it's I Am Poppy, or maybe it's just Poppy, but she's now a musician, and she had this whole social media thing, I think it was maybe like 2015, 2016, where she made the most strange videos ever, but they were kind of commentaries on social commentaries. And she completely wiped anything about her on social media. She was completely, like, her age and where she was from. Like, you could find absolutely nothing on this person. But they had that kind of it factor in that. Something that was drawing people in time and time again, because she had that specific branding. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, and going on to the fact of, like, social media and entrepreneurship, like, do you think that you're good with money? I do now. Yes. Because there's like, what is it, 80-90% of influencers are young kids. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm like everyone's mom, like giving them financial advice. Yeah, like, so, I'm so protective of my friends. Finances for me, financial education is so important to me. Yes, because if you want to be successful and you want to learn about money, then you're supposed to do the research. Yeah, learning about investing was one of the most pivotal parts, I think, in me learning about business too. I did this program when I was growing up called the Stock Market Exchange. And this was when I was pretty young, and I did this for a couple of years, but it taught me, it was kind of a simulation of the stock market. And I was doing this when I was like 10, which is so funny. Damn. Like, school should be teaching this, because school doesn't teach you how to be an individual. It teaches you how to be a good worker in the workforce, exactly. But yeah, I was learning about the stock market for a couple of years as I was doing this. I was very young, and I didn't realize that people weren't learning that. And when you grow up and then you know, are in this industry where there is a lot of access to wealth, and there are so many people who are, 17, 18, 19, 21, 22, whatever it is, very young, who have no idea about money, and nor would I expect them to, because it's not taught. But if you don't do that, then you could be the most successful influencer, actor, NBA player, dancer, whatever it is. But the rate at which you spend your money and invest could leave you completely broke, and
you could lose it all.
Yes, there's so many NFL players or NBA players who, maybe like even just a couple of years after they're done playing or they retire and they're still pretty young, go completely bankrupt.
And everybody can know who
and they
are.
have millions of dollars.
Yeah.
They have millions and millions and millions, but because they don't know how to spend their money, it completely goes to waste.
I think people have
that all the time.
a small mindset on how money actually works.
Yeah.
Because they just think that if you work, okay, you make money, okay, I could spend it, I'm gonna make it back. If you have that mindset,
the
you're forever.
look in your face right now.
Like I'm like this is what
make money, put it back.
Like
get it.
This is what I had. This is who I was. My past self. I would work at Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah.
I would make like I don't know. For real, you have Dunkin'.
I got my Dunkin'.
I'm dead. So
that's
like
the East Coast,
yeah,
baby.
for real, East Coast. Put it on the map.
Yeah.
So like even when I worked at Dunkin' Donuts, I literally made like $200 to $300 a week.
Yeah.
And I remember always spending my paychecks on designer.
Yes.
On designer.
Oh, I was gonna just
that.
say that.
And I'll be like, okay, I'll make it back next week.
Yeah.
But in reality, when you say, okay, I worked like 40, 50 hours for this Louis Vuitton bracelet, I mean, what the fuck? How does that even make sense to anyone? God. How does that even make sense?
It doesn't make sense.
It really doesn't. And now when I look back, I'm like, what a dumb kid I was. What a dumb kid.
I had that learning curve too with like sneakers. I was like a really big sneakerhead. I had like
really?
a crazy sneaker collection. I sold it all. But yeah, like I shouldn't have been spending that money. You're saying you're spending that money when you don't really have that money. Or you could be investing it, or you could be saving it.
Yeah.
But I also think that that's going off of what we were saying before about like how everyone is trying to come off, cooler or richer or
when
prettier
I showed up
than they actually are.
Exactly.
And designer, it might give that temporary effect, but what in like 6 months, it's not even gonna be popular anymore. No one's gonna care. No one actually cares. Oftentimes I think people are just so focused on themselves that, that one time they see you at an event with that Balenciaga bag, that's gonna be great. Like that's cool.
Yeah.
You get that Balenciaga bag. That's lit. But like, are you making rent?
# cancel Balenciaga though.
Yes, very true.
I ripped my Balenciaga shoes. I literally cut them with scissors.
Did you actually? I've never bought anything of theirs, so I didn't need to cut anything. But yeah, good for you.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
Agreed.
But back on the topic of this, I even when I moved to LA and I started to make a good amount of money, and I don't come from money. So when I was
a lot of people don't that are here.
Yeah, and so like when I was like making a good amount of money, I had to learn the hard way because I thought this money was going to be coming in all the damn time. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh shit.
It's that up and down.
And so
no consistency.
And so therefore I had to learn the hard way. I lost it all. Mm-hmm. And I was like, damn.
Yeah.
This is I should have set myself up for success and really learn how to invest and how to actually save money because I spent it all.
Yeah, I think that most people do when you're exposed to that amount of wealth and just access to everything here all of a sudden, so many people come up really quickly and then go down really fast too. And I think that that's a factor that maybe not everybody can see on social media because nobody's checking to see like how many designer bags that influencer or that actor or whatever, whoever they are, how many they bought. But yeah, those things add up.
It's insane.
And it can leave you with nothing.
It's insane.
Because I want to ask, do you think that the reason why you were buying those things or you maybe like recklessly spending your money, was that for you or was that for other people?
I would say a little bit of both.
Yeah, fair.
Because everything you'll forever have an ego, and as a kid you're naive, and you're
money
arrogant.
Doesn't feel real. Also,
it doesn't feel real. You don't know you don't know the value of money.
Yeah.
But from me coming from no money and being able to, be an older version of myself right now, I know the value of money because of all those experiences. And I think it's so important if you really want to set yourself up for success. And anyone that's younger that's listening in, definitely be aware that money it's not printed from the sky. I mean,
doesn't grow on trees. You know what they say.
If anyone knows about like how money actually works in, central banking and everything, like they print fucking money out of nowhere, but you're not the central banks and you're not printing money out of nowhere, so it's not just coming out.
Go figure.
Like,
you tell them.
So moving forward, what's your big goals that you want to accomplish in the coming months?
I think that there's definitely a few. So I think that one of them is definitely creating more of a, I don't know, I want to expand onto other platforms, like, how I was saying that I'm really passionate about TED Talks. That's always been something that's been a big part of my life, and public speaking. That's always been a part of my life. And I think that going off into a platform where it's about helping other people more than just a 15-second TikTok, or, a reel or whatever it is. I really just want to dive into a lot more things in my life that have more longevity on platforms, or have more reach on other areas of life. So I think that is a huge goal of mine with, writing that and finishing that and going through with that. And I also just I'm so passionate about a lot of the acting things that I've been doing for a while. And so I think that eventually coming to fruition, hopefully soon, is something that I'm working very hard on as well. But there's a couple projects. There's a couple things I can't totally say, but I'm so excited to.
I'm excited
not
for
to be
you.
That person that's like, I can't say, like, something's coming. But there is a lot of things I've been working on that truly are passionate for me. So I think that those are the main things. I also finally am starting to do YouTube and things like that, which is
amazing.
Great. I don't know, there's a lot more design related things that are coming too, that I'm super passionate about design and about fashion, makeup, all of those things, self-expression, especially kind of more on a digital platform is kind of what I'm going to say.
Well, I'm looking forward to everything that you got going on, because you're not just,
I got you.
You're not just some basic woman that is doing one thing.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So I definitely got to give you props, and I appreciate you coming on the podcast and discussing mental health, entrepreneurship, and social media, because these things are always important to talk about and discuss. So with that being said, thank you so much.
I'm so happy that we had the time to talk. Thank you for having me.
Mango out.
That's what's up.
Peace.